Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Today we are joined by Zara Zeringue, who is the founder and lead attorney at Zeringue Associates Law Firm and officially the owner of the coolest name in the universe. Zara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Can we start off? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Zeringue Associates?
Sure. I practice in Covington, Louisiana. I grew up in Metairie, Louisiana, and I've been in practice for over 30 years. I have a practice that has personal injury, family law, estate planning.
Well, and can you tell us a little bit about the people that you help? When people come to Zeringue Associates, what are some of the pain points? What are some of the problems that you're helping them solve?
Well, the ones that have the family law issues, whether it's divorce, custody, maybe a prenuptial agreement, they have concerns that need to be addressed. So I try to listen to them and let them speak, and then direct them to how I can best serve them and accomplish what their goals are.
And I mean that has to take sort of you have to be sort of empathetic in that role. What does that take to sort of understand their needs and really kind of give them that that compassion? What does that take on your end?
Well, that's a good question. Over lots of experience, I've had people report to me about other experiences they've had with attorneys. And so that has, led me to the conclusion that, I'm a pretty good listener and very empathetic and compassionate. And I've done, a lot of work on myself and my developing listening skills and communication. And so to me, it becomes really like a one-on-one opportunity to really just get present and just give them space to say what they need to say. And then, I try to be, directive to see how they, adjust to that type of direction. And then I make adjustments from there.
What inspired you to go into the legal field? And I guess even more so, what inspired you to kind of niche down into the family law space?
Well, I decided to go to law school for a few reasons, but one of them was because the country was led by a lot of people that had gone to law school and had the legal education. So I wanted to find out what that perspective was, what knowledge did they have that gave their point of view and their drive, since they were like the leaders, of the country. So that was, one of them. And of course, another one was I wanted to be, independent and be able to earn a living and support myself. And so that was a big component. And of course, the cliche, I like to read. So it just seemed natural.
Well, and your firm, I want to talk about your firm a little bit. You operate out of Covington, Louisiana, and your firm has been pretty well recognized as one of the premier firms in Southern Louisiana. I mean, you've been acknowledged by super lawyers. I would love to talk about that. And can you tell us a little bit about how you garnered that reputation and what that reputation means to you? And can you tell us a little bit about super lawyers and what super lawyers is and what that recognition means to you? I know that's kind of a double down question there.
Yeah, but I guess I'll start from the back. I mean, really, super lawyers is really an acknowledgement to me of my presence in the community and my experience. So that is, it's a recognition of long time being involved in the community, the legal community. So most of my referrals come from other lawyers.
Hmm.
And so that, always, humbles me and, makes, me feel honored to be able to have other lawyers, my peers, my colleagues, trust me with their friends and loved ones and that sort of thing. And really for me, it's been about keeping connections, staying up with relationships, people that I've been in practice with. I don't, if we have differences, I don't ever burn bridges. I believe in just
Right.
moving forward. And, that has really served me well. And being open to new opportunity is really the biggest game changer for me in my practice, and just continually being open to not knowing what this action step might accomplish, but then having, a whole different world or opportunity open to me. So.
Well, you touched a little bit on the importance of sort of business relationships, right? But
Right.
can you speak about the importance of client relationships, and what is your approach? How do you handle client communication? What is your approach to communicating with clients?
Well, so, you know, I guess the simple answer is, I'm available, through all means of communication. I don't really like text too much because I think it's hard for me to keep up with it. And I don't
Right,
I don't
right.
ever want to miss something. I want to be able to reflect and go back. I'm the type of person that if I'm going to have a client meeting, I'm going to be prepared for that meeting. I'm going to have reviewed what it is that we spoke about last time, what it is that's going on with your case, and I'm going to be prepared so we can more quickly get into the meat of things. And I've already thought about, some possibilities of what might be next, for the client. Also, I, give the opportunity for the client to speak what they have to say what they have to say. And then, I just take a facilitative type of approach. A lot of lawyering can look like counseling in a way, we're counselors of the law. So, I do use that as an opportunity to maybe address some blind spots that they might not be seeing, that would better serve them. And of course, a lot of people that come to me are extremely overwhelmed. They have a legal crisis,
Right.
and so I, get them to focus on one, step at a time. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? That's
Right.
trying to break it down and break it down. It's a lot of times I see people in the worst time of their life, whether it's a
Right.
personal
Right.
injury with a lot of injuries and their whole life is turned upside down because they haven't been able to work and they can't support their family and they don't, they're in pain and that kind of thing. And so that's, what I try and do
Right.
to be supportive.
Well, and I guess this is a little bit out of my own curiosity, because I find it really interesting that, people do call you on the worst day of their life. When anybody calls a lawyer, they're not having a great day, right?
Right.
If that phone rings, they're not having a great day. And how do you balance? It's how do you balance and set aside? When you step away from, at the end of the day, when you step away from the firm, right? Do you have to kind of compartmentalize? You have such compassion for the people that you're helping, but do you have to kind of set that aside and be like, okay, that's over there. This is family time now. I'm over here. How do you balance sort of, or is it always in the back of your mind?
I would say it's pretty much always in the back of my mind. So,
Gosh,
that
that's got to be a
it's
lot to, I mean,
it's a lot.
right.
But it's, at the same time, my friends that are supportive and see me and how I work and colleagues, they do, compliment me on having the ability to compartmentalize. So I do that to some extent. I mean, I have to as, part of being able to function. But I guess over the past maybe 10 years, I've made much more effort and just had a bigger commitment to just address that stress that can come home, with the lawyers that help people. And so I have other tools that I use. I got certified to teach yoga, so I practice yoga. Try to do physical exercise. I like to be in nature. I used to have like this concept that, okay, well, I work whatever 40, 60 hours a week, and then I'm just going to go work out for like an hour a couple times a week. Well, proportionally, that's just kind of silly, just to think that would balance. That's not balance,
Right.
True balance looks a lot different,
Right. Do you find, I mean, this might be a silly question, but do you find that, anything that, that you're practicing in yoga, do you ever find yourself in a stressful situation in the legal space and, goose fraba, do you ever find yourself employing some of the techniques? Is there anything that you've learned from yoga that crosses over into the legal space?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we could talk about that for days, but one thing that I've been doing for years, even before, I got certified to teach yoga, was to just do a practice with my clients, called Find Your Feet. So, I go tell them to put their feet flat on the ground and then kind of like do a body scan, pay attention to their breath, but just to bring them to be present. And I do that particularly if they're going to be on the stand and testify in court. I try to give them a tool to bring some like calmness and centeredness, focus on the question, don't speak too fast.
Right.
Because it's the space that we really need to pay attention to, especially in courtroom, because you only have such a brief amount of time.
Right. Well, and we've kind of talked about the personal injury side of what you do, but it's really interesting that you also handle wills, estates. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And of course, it's really, the like full service events of people's lives, right? I mean, in any like given family, someone they know or in their family may, have a car accident. They may get sick. They may have the need for a will. They may get divorced. They may get, they might adopt a child. I mean, that's like a good time when you want, to see clients. I mean, that's one of the, few things that's a joyous situation.
Well, can you speak a little bit about, and this might be an ignorant question. It might be very similar for all I know, but can you speak a little bit about how your approach to a personal injury case might differ from your approach to handling a will or an estate case?
Well, I mean, usually the, personal injury case, I have a more developed, I guess, relationship with the client because it's over a period of time. A lot of times wills and, powers of attorney and things, that nature are people trying to put their affairs in order. They're usually not in like a crisis mode. They're usually just, trying to take care of business. So the, the interaction and that client development it's not as stressful, of a situation most often. So it's a little bit different. It's lighter. And then, those clients are usually, returning clients to, if a situation arises, then, they'll reach out to me and it may develop into something else. So that's.
Well, and I'm interested, and this might be, again, this might be a very uninformed question, but I'm interested in when when you're dealing with a personal injury situation, there's obviously, sometimes conflicts there. How do those conflicts differ from conflicts surrounding wills and estates? Because I would have to imagine that conflicts in the wills and estates space are familial conflicts.
Mhm.
And can you speak to a little bit about how you deal with that, those type of conflicts?
Well, sure. I mean, there's carryover because you have a personal injury. If the person's married, then the spouse might have an interest in the case as well. And also, if the person injured is not working, so they're losing money, and so the spouse has a component there. They're involved in that as well. And then I've had, unfortunately, personal injury clients that have like brain injuries, and so
Mm,
they require special needs trust. So that's carries over, where whatever monies they receive have to go into a special trust so that they have services that are available to them, or maybe their reasoning is not sufficient enough for them to be able to manage, their affairs fully. So there is, a lot of components with that. And then a lot of people are affected, their mental health's affected by personal injury. So a lot of times
mm,
they'll go into counseling, and there's always usually there's some family dynamics,
right.
especially with the bigger, like wrongful death cases or
Mm,
brain injury cases. Those tend to be longer, they're more drawn out. Develop relationship with the entire family and see how it's impacting them, but also watching the dynamics of the family and how it changes over time by the injury.
right.
So,
And I'm curious, and this is something. Now, again, this is a total. You know, I went to art school. This is a total. I went to art school, not law school question. But I'm always so fascinated when I speak to lawyers from Louisiana, because there is that Napoleonic code that is completely different, right, than anywhere else in the country. And can you speak a little bit about what that is, that Napoleonic law, and how that differs? I find that fascinating.
sure. Well, Louisiana, we like to be different. And so, we don't have like a full Napoleonic code. We are more of a, gumbo of sorts with the influence of Spanish law and French law. And like, I guess the simplest primary difference that I could speak to is that, you know, in the rest of the country, they have a process of determining what a predictable outcome of a case might be by looking at other cases. So they refer to other decisions that the courts have made. And in Louisiana, we do have that, but those decisions quite aren't quite as binding unless it's like the Louisiana Supreme Court. We have what we call, statutes, code articles. We have like statements of the law, that are like codified. So that's like our big, you know, claim to, have our distinctions. And that's what we turn to. We have books and books and books, of law.
Now, does that come into play? No, I don't know if Zeringue and Associates operates across state lines, but does that come into play when firms operate across state lines? Does that become an issue?
Well, we don't operate across state lines, but we
Yeah.
do have cases where there is a potential for other state law to
Right.
apply. And so then, we have to consult with attorneys from that state to get, their perspective, and their advice on, what the law is. And, arts, every state is equipped to accommodate conflicts in law, is what they call it. So there's a system
Yeah.
to handle it.
So we've talked a little bit. We've talked a little bit about your practice. We've talked a little bit about the law. I would like to talk a little bit about you. What inspired you to get into the legal space?
Well, I think I was more led than like sought it out. I was more led to, come into personal injury as a young lawyer. That's really where my focus was. I had an opportunity to work with a great lawyer who, he was interested because I had just finished working at the same the district area where he had a big case. So I, got to come in shortly before a big jury trial, and that was, full of excitement and just, learned a lot from him. And then, handling the bigger personal injury cases like the wrongful deaths and the brain injury lawsuits, that really kind of developed me, unbeknownst to myself, for like dealing with family law, later on as my practice evolved. And when I made a shift working, on what we call the South Shore versus the North Shore by Lake Pontchartrain, those two are in another state. It's about 25, 30 miles away. I had the opportunity to go work at a small firm in, a boutique area, I guess. And, I kind of was hesitant because I thought it would be all family law. And I was scared to jump all in and just focus on that because I was kind of taking the place of an attorney who had gone to be a family court judge. But I just kept, staying open and went with, who I am and what I have and, cases that I had. And, I'm glad that I allowed myself that opportunity because it was not restrictive at all. I mean, I still continued to do everything that I had always done. So,
Right.
But it was a good lesson how we sometimes can limit ourselves, like, oh, I don't want to do that because blah, 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 blah. And, we don't give ourselves the opportunity to explore to see how we
Right.
can benefit,
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to touch on this that, you have a reputation for fierce advocacy, and I wanted to touch on how that reputation came to be. You have a reputation for fierce advocacy and really being a trustworthy person. How did you develop those characteristics? How did you get that reputation?
Well, as might, I guess, observe, I'm pretty calm in my demeanor. So, I have definitely over the years had consults with potential new clients and they, look at me like, are you sure you can handle this? Like, do you get upset? Do you get mad? Like, can you get mean? That kind of thing. And, I always tell them, I have siblings, so I know how to fight. But at this, right, I mean, that's just natural. That was my experience, it's natural. But also, you definitely, I think it's better to have a calmer approach, at least on the front end. Litigation is so expensive,
Right.
and it's really, really stressful. So, it's about achieving the goal. It's not about who can make the biggest noise, And the other thing, I guess, is just being prepared, just as a young lawyer going up against, more experienced lawyers, louder lawyers. I just found that if I can be prepared, a lot of times, the loudest person in the room is the least prepared. And so I just, stuck to that, method.
I love that. That was a bit of knowledge. The loudest person in the room is the least prepared. What a great line you just casually dropped on our listeners. That was, I mean, where did you? I mean, how? I want to backtrack because that line stuck with me there for a sec. How did you develop and learn that? I mean, where did that come across?
really through experience, watching time over time, sitting in the courtroom. Now a lot of our court is in Zoom, and so
Right.
the effect is a lot different. And I think it is like a loss to younger attorneys learning. But just seeing the bravado and knowing the case and watching the exchange, the body language between
Right.
the judge or the court staff, because they see the same, people mostly day in and day out. So they know people's styles pretty well.
So I have to ask, this is going to be a bit of a loaded question. So hang in with me here.
All right.
You mentioned, so much of the work is done in Zoom now, right? And I
Right.
feel like that has to be a result of, well, not a result of, but certainly was influenced by the pandemic when everybody had to do things. And so I would love to kind of a two-part question here. Can you tell us how the pandemic impacted the legal space? And can you tell us a little bit about the future, where you think the legal space is heading with the emergence of, the big hot topic of the day was COVID, pandemic, and now it's AI. Can you speak a little bit about how the pandemic impacted the legal space and how you think AI is going to impact it moving forward?
Yes. It's limited to really my personal experience. I'd say that. But my observation, of course, is that, when we all went to Zoom, we had to make a lot of, adaptions to that. And so, I mean, I'm very excited about all the changes. It takes a lot of, energy to do things differently, to start creating systems, but that's what the clients want. They really,
Right.
it's not like they wouldn't walk into my office and say, I want this, that, or that, but it is their experience that they're having when they are engaging for services for whatever, buying a wash machine or, ordering food online or, so in my opinion, like, we got to step up and get with the program. So I do my best to do that, try to get, text availability because, a lot of clients like to text and, especially the younger generation, I find that they may not really have a computer or they may not sit in front of their computer very often. It's their phone, period.
Right.
And so that's their experience. So I want to make sure that I match their experience, that I give them a good experience, so that they can engage with me and feel like that they've been served. And AI is just a catapult from that whole experience. Like that is just
Right.
going to shift things in ways that I don't think that the legal community has really embraced, and I want to embrace it because it's here, it's coming,
Right.
And I hope, my hope would be that it serves, the underprivileged. It serves people that can't, afford attorneys. That it's good, It
Right.
makes law more accessible,
So, I mean, with over 30 years of experience doing this, when you think back, I mean, there you have to have, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of stories of people you've helped. I can only imagine. And again, this is a big loaded question, but when you think back, is there a story that stands out of a business, a person, a client, someone that you helped that you really saw a transformation in, a positive transformation in as a result of your help and guidance? And would you be willing to share that story with us?
Yes, I mean, it was really when I was a young lawyer and, I had a client who had a brain injury, and his mental health was very poor, after that. And, but he was, I admired him so much because of the way his brain was impacted. It worked a little differently, and it was just fascinating to me to talk to him and engage with him. But he was really suffering and trying to make sense of like what his life was going to look like as a result of his experience and his injury. So I am not sure why, but I just offered him, I just said, they have this like Buddhist temple, downtown in New Orleans, and people live there, and, go check it out, so he did, and he wound up staying there for, I think it was like 3 to 5 months, something like that. And then after that, it really like pointed him in just a really super good direction. And I maintained, a relationship with him, helping him with some other legal issues along the way as he continued to find himself as a, young man, because he was, I think, underage when the injury occurred. He became a young man, and then eventually, got a house and, just really blossomed.
Well, Zara, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If anybody out there listening could use your help, could use the help of Zeringue Associates, where can the people find you?
Our website is Lawyer in Covington. So it's lawyerincovington.com. You can always Google my name, Zara Zeringue, or Zara Attorney. I probably pop up as well. And our phone number, 985-801-0050. So thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Zara. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And thank you everyone for listening. This has been Partnerships for Profit presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Zara, thank you so much again for stopping by.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.